LinkedIn audio and LinkedIn newsletters are so powerful because the sound of your voice is really powerful. And it's like having a radio show, but people can actually pop in and come up on stage and join into the discussion, So it's really nice. It's kind of like what Clubhouse was, and Twitter Spaces is similar. But I find LinkedIn audio is really powerful. I remember one person jumped into a LinkedIn audio I was doing, and it's just sound, it's not video. So you don't even have to, you can be in your pajamas if you want to do it.
Welcome to the Social Media Takeaway. I'm your host, Louise McDonnell, and today I am speaking to Samantha Kelly, an award-winning Twitter expert, social media strategist, speaker, and author. Known as the tweeting goddess, Samantha speaks on stages all over the world about the power of social media and making it work for your business. You're very welcome to the show, Samantha.
Thank you so much. I love the way you were going to say all over Ireland. Oh no, the world. It's lovely.
Oh, you did all over the world. I just saw you on LinkedIn. You were over in New York. I was like, oh, wow, that's so cool.
It's funny, like once you have Wi-Fi, you can go global. That's why I'm always saying it, just once you have Wi-Fi and you have a skill that people need and people want, you can go global. So it's not just your own little town or your own little country. You can go global now.
It's wonderful. Like, I'm based in the west of Ireland, but I'm blessed with high-speed broadband. On the first day of COVID, when everything was absolutely, you couldn't let anyone into your house, the guys came knocking from, I think, Aircom, and they were like, oh, would you mind if we came in to install your broadband? And I was like, I don't care, just come in, install it. So yes, you're right. It's fantastic. Once you've got connectivity, you can connect to anyone.
Yeah.
So Samantha, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and inspiration? Share your journey from starting at the kitchen table to becoming a digital influencer.
I started really because I had a different business. I started a business when my daughter, she came to that awkward milestone of her first period, and I felt sorry for her. She was 11, and I went to the shop looking for something to give her, like a welcome to womanhood gift or something to make it a bit easier to transition. And there was nothing in the shops. And then I started to look online. I barely had a Facebook page at this stage, personal Facebook profile. And I didn't really understand anything about tech or social media, but I just did my research and I realized, hang on, why is there no starter set for girls, blah, blah, blah. And I just decided I would do it. So something I always say to people is, if you can't find what you're looking for, create it yourself. So I did that, and I had no money or anything, but I just did it, started marketing the product. My sister put me on Twitter. So I started using Twitter to market the product. And, loads of opportunities came to me, like journalists are on Twitter and they wanted to hear my story. They wanted to hear about the gift box. And then I was on Dragon's Den, which is like Shark Tank in America. And, it was a show about, pitching your products. And, so it all kind of went from there. And that's how my journey into marketing started, because I had to market the business. And as small business owners, we don't have big marketing budgets like the big guys. So it was really important that I got the word out there. And I did. And I realized I had quite a talent for it, which was nice. And I realized the power of storytelling and the power of connections, connecting with people and building relationships through that whole process. And that's where my journey started. I sold that company, and I remember a local hotel here in Wexford where I live asked me would I come in and show them how to use this Twitter thing, because they weren't really sure. And so I went in and I showed them, and then afterwards they were like, oh, would you just do it for us? And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, how much do I charge for that? So right then and there, I realized I have a new business here. So I realized that people needed this service where I would actually run the accounts for them. And so I started doing that, and their clicks to sale went up 15%. Their head office called them and said, how did you get your clicks to sale up 15%? And they said, well, we have Samantha running our account. So that's when I realized, okay, I'm good at this. And that's a huge statistic for a company. And it was a hotel as well, so their bookings went up 15%. So all I did was I started talking to customers who'd mentioned them before. So I went through their notifications. I went through the people who'd mentioned them before, started engaging. There was one lady, Mary, in Tipperary, and she'd done a cake sale, because a lot of their customers would be over 55s, during the week. And I just said, oh, Mary, they look lovely, blah, blah, blah. So she was like, oh my God, the hotel is talking to me, And she started engaging, and she said, oh, I haven't been down there in ages. I must pop down again. And I said, actually, we have a special offer at the moment. Bam, sale. So that is when I realized the power of actually engaging with people on social media. So really that's where it started. And then since then, I've just been, oh gosh, I'm 10 years, I think now, tweeting goddess. I changed my first business was called Funky Goddess. So I just changed my Twitter handle to tweeting goddess. And now I even earn money off Twitter from ad revenue, because once you go over 5 million impressions, you can actually start earning money. So I don't think people know that about X as it is now, that if you are a creator, you can actually earn money from Twitter. I have a subscribe button on my Twitter. I charge $2.50 a month if you want to be one of my subscribers. And like, I have people that subscribe to me, and they just get more retweets, get more attention off me, stuff like that. So it's actually starting to earn money for me in that way, as well as being an expert and people hiring me to help them use it and run their accounts from time to time.
Fantastic. I know we're not going to speak all about Twitter today, because I know you've fallen in love with
Yes,
LinkedIn as well. But
I have.
just for the moment, for Twitter, like, or X as it is, like, is it dead? Is it declining? Or what's you're the expert in this area. What's your feeling? And if you had any advice to give to Elon, what would it be?
First of all, it would be acknowledge me. Because I'm probably his biggest brand advocate.
Bring me in as an advisor.
But yeah, there was a lot of controversy. Some people don't like Mr. Musk, for example, but it's not dead. It's definitely there. There are diehard Twitter fans who are still there, and they're still buying, and they're still customers. I have clients who get sales mostly from Twitter because the demographic is older. So for example, there are a lot of grandmothers on Twitter. And my mother's 73, she's on Twitter, and I'm 53 and I'm a grandmother now. And if I see anything on Twitter that I want to buy for my grandson, I'll get it. Just to be aware, it depends on who your audience are, whether Twitter will be dead for you or not. But also it depends on how you are. So if you're giving out and complaining about politics or complaining about whatever, people aren't going to value. If you are adding value, it's like every platform. If you're adding value, if you're engaging with your audience, if you're helping people along the way, you will do really well. If you're not good with people, you won't do well on Twitter, and any social media, I think. But you have to really be engaged, though. You can't, it does take a bit of time. But, even just 15 minutes a day, just going in and engaging with other people's content is going to help you. And that kind of, I'm sure you'll agree, it applies to most platforms. It's thriving with the creator space because there's so many creators have moved from YouTube over to Twitter because of this creator program they have, where you can actually earn money if you're getting good traction on Twitter. There are a lot of idiots there still, but there's idiots on every platform. But I just stick to my Twitter lists, and Twitter lists are something that a lot of people don't realize how powerful they are. You just segment your audience, and I don't see any of the trolls. I don't see any of the negativity. My feed is so fluffy and nice and kind and lovely and full of value. I remember once I was running a politician's account, and I was so glad to get back to my own account. I was like, oh my God, it was just so much nicer. But it really depends on who you're following and what you're engaging with as to what Twitter will show you. So, it's kind of the same for most platforms, I think.
So for anyone like listening in who maybe doesn't understand what a Twitter list is, what is that? And how can somebody use it?
Well, a Twitter list is where you can actually find somebody. So let's say you find Louise and you see her lovely content. You can say, I want to actually keep an eye on Louise and just want to see her coming into my feed. You can actually click on Louise's profile. There's a little drop down and add her to a Twitter list. You can create a Twitter list of favorite people or funny tweeters, or I have a list of Irish gift ideas, which does really well every Christmas. People have told me and sent me gifts because they got sales from when I put out the list, the Irish gift ideas list. I have a list of journalists and media, and I keep an eye on their tweets because the journal request hashtag is really valuable still. There are journalists from Forbes putting out journal requests on that hashtag. So it really is a valuable platform if you want to get opportunities. Another great thing about Twitter is you can add, like, if you see events, I can add the event to my Twitter list so I can keep an eye on early bird tickets and stuff like that. So it's a really good way to segment your audience so you're not seeing all the noise. I rarely go to my home feed, rarely. I would just go to, okay, who can I help today on my Twitter list? So I'll go to my Twitter list. if I help one of those journalists, trust me, when they have something that's relevant to me, they'll message me. And it has happened many times.
I think that's your mantra because Sam, when I know you gave me my first big opportunity to speak on stage in
Did
Dublin.
I?
Yeah, you did at the Social Media Marketing Summit. It was a long, long time ago now. But yeah, we met at some event and we kept in touch. And the next thing you
It
said,
was at the ambassador, the
Ibiza.
British embassy. Yeah, I think.
I remember we met outside there and you just came back and you said, oh, I'm organizing this. Would you like to speak at it? And I was like, oh my goodness. And I remember that was my first big, big, big stage. And I remember I was sick. I was sick.
Oh, were you? You didn't seem to be. You're great. You were brilliant.
Well, I was sick. I was like, maybe I'll just leave.
Yeah, but the thing is, Louise, the reason I asked you, like, I watch people, and that's one thing about Twitter as well, and social media in general. I watch a lot of people and what they're like. And if I see someone and I need a topic covered, like you have shown that you were the go-to expert in your niche with the value that you add. And this is what I always say to people: if you are an expert in your niche, keep being consistent and show me that you know your stuff. Because if I get asked by a journalist or if I get asked by someone, an event organizer, look, do you know anyone who can speak about AI? I have a Twitter list of AI people and I'm watching them to see which one I think would be the best and give the most value, but also who's a good person, right? So I don't want someone on my stage. For example, I went to see a lady speaking at an event and I really liked her content. But when I saw her and how she treated people after she got off the stage, she didn't get my stage. So it's really, I do watch people and people are watching all the time. They are. So that's why it's so important to, when you're going to put that post up or when you're going to put that tweet up. If you look at my drafts and my tweets, it's hilarious. I must actually show you after this. The drafts I have, I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't post that. It's like really interesting. Think before you post. Think, is this going to educate? Is this going to inspire someone? Is it going to empower them? Is it going to entertain them? Is it going to make them feel good? I don't want to post something that's going to hurt somebody potentially, that's going to make someone feel, I don't really like that, what she said. Just think before you post. And that's really, I was watching you and watching your stuff and watching what you were putting out. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. I always really appreciate it. Okay, so any last advice for me, Elon, before we move over to LinkedIn?
Elon needs to engage with the people who are his biggest brand advocates.
Yeah, because I have lots of advice that I could give.
What advice would you give him?
Oh, I'd have no advice for Elon, to be honest. Like, like Twitter is someplace that I have to make myself go to. It's just,
I know you don't. Yeah, it's not your. Yeah, but you see, it's not everybody's thing as well. But you see, I built so many valuable relationships.
You're so good at it. Yeah. But I always found that for me now, and I just found that I took up too much of my time.
Yeah.
So you're naturally better at that. So no, I wouldn't have any advice for Elon at all.
Well, I think for Elon, definitely, I don't think communities are great. There's a communities section on Twitter. I don't think it's working well. I would love if he would put Twitter lists into alphabetical order. That would be my biggest.
So if anybody is listening from Twitter-X, please, for Samantha, please do that. Okay, so now, no more than everyone else. So LinkedIn, you started getting into LinkedIn a few years ago. No more than myself. I just actually find it's such a good platform at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was always, most of my followers on LinkedIn came from Twitter. So if I connect with someone on Twitter, I actually look for them on LinkedIn as well.
Very good. Yeah, very good.
B2B, they're both B2B platforms. And that's another thing to keep in mind. So if you're in the B2B space, like if you are selling a service to businesses, they're on Twitter and LinkedIn, definitely. But I find LinkedIn very good. Well, you know what? I find that people are more serious about their business and about actually investing in themselves. And that's lovely for what we do.
Yeah. What I like about LinkedIn at the moment is that you're still really rewarded for good quality content.
Yeah.
Like on Facebook now and even on Instagram, sometimes you can put out really good quality content, but you just don't get rewarded organically anymore. Whereas on LinkedIn, you do, and people that are on LinkedIn are there for business. So tell me why you like LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, I don't even have the Premier. I get a lot of engagement on LinkedIn, but I always liked LinkedIn. I always use LinkedIn like I did Twitter. So I remember I put up a picture of my daughter playing soccer. She'd just gone to a team and it was and I said, this is why I do what I do. And this is why I love what I do. It was for my daughters. And the amount of engagement, got the most engagement I ever got on LinkedIn. And I went, that's interesting. And I could see that there was a human side, to LinkedIn that people weren't actually delving into. So I started saying, right, I'm going to keep doing this stuff that actually people enjoy on Twitter. Maybe they like it on LinkedIn too. And I just started being myself, showing behind the scenes, stuff like that, like I do on Twitter. And it's worked so well for me. And then LinkedIn audio and LinkedIn newsletters are so powerful. I have a workshop coming up actually on the 24th. I don't know when this is going out, but I'll probably do another one anyway if this is. But like LinkedIn audio and LinkedIn newsletters are so powerful because the sound of your voice is really powerful. And it's like having a radio show, but people can actually pop in and come up on stage and join into the discussion, So it's really nice. It's kind of like what Clubhouse was, and Twitter Spaces is similar. But I find LinkedIn audio is really powerful. I remember one person jumped into a LinkedIn audio I was doing, and it's just sound, it's not video. So you don't even have to, you can be in your pajamas if you want to do it. And I remember she popped in and then she sent me a message straight after saying, "Oh, I didn't even know what that was. That was really cool. What is that? LinkedIn audio, blah, blah, blah." And then she said, "Actually, we're due a call." Did a call, and she's been my client for the past 2 years from that
That's
one.
fantastic. And the LinkedIn audio, so tell us about it. So you just go to link, you set up an audio event, and then do you have to push it, or does LinkedIn push it for you, or how does it work?
Well, it will actually, you'll share it to your own post, but then you can invite people. You can invite people to the event. So you can actually click the invite button and invite people. You can invite people by industry, people by location, people by company, and you can invite people in bulk, like if you want to. But, I tend to just share it every now and then. I share it on Twitter. I share the events everywhere, really, so that people can join from any other platform once they're on LinkedIn. But it's really powerful because so you go to the events section, click create event, then click if it's LinkedIn audio or LinkedIn live or an outside link, and then you add your speakers. So if you have a guest, I like to have guests because it makes my job easier, but also the value that you can get from interviewing a guest, and for the audience, it's much more interesting. So I just find them really good. And I actually do that for clients. I host LinkedIn audios for them because sometimes people aren't comfortable like clicking the go live button, and they need that little bit of hand holding, to get them through the first few, and then I let them post their own one themselves. So that's what I've been focused on lately, is LinkedIn audios and LinkedIn newsletters.
So for somebody who doesn't know anything about LinkedIn newsletter, tell us about it.
Well, LinkedIn newsletters, if you want to go and see, do you have access to LinkedIn newsletters? If you just go as if you're going to write an article and click on write article, and then go to the manage button, there's a drop down and it should say create a newsletter. So what you do is you create a newsletter, because what happens is if you create a newsletter, some of you might get notifications every now and then saying Mary has asked you to subscribe to her newsletter, and you can click accept or decline. So if you create a LinkedIn newsletter, your first edition, every single one of your contacts, it could be from years ago, you could forget you even connected to them, and every single one of your followers will get a notification saying Louise has invited you to subscribe to her newsletter. Now, the title is very important because I've been invited to subscribe to John's monthly newsletter. No incentive for me to click accept. Whereas if someone said, LinkedIn tips for pros, or, something like Louise's Facebook hacks, or, how to get more sales, I click on that. So I'd probably accept that newsletter. So just be really careful with the title. I just say monthly, but I do them more regularly than monthly. I just tend to do them when something comes into my head that happened, or an experience I had, or something like that, or something I have to promote. But I try and add as much value as possible. And every time you do publish a new newsletter, it goes to their email. So I get it in my inbox. And then also every time I do publish a new newsletter, I get more subscribers. So I started with 3,000 subscribers. Now I have 5,000 and something. So, it keeps growing and growing and growing. So it's a really good way to keep your audience engaged, but also to show your expertise, because sometimes it takes a while before people will actually make that decision to contact you and message you, So,
oh yeah, I'm always saying that. And it really depends on the individual and where they are and how much they need your help.
Yeah.
You can connect with somebody who just like that goes, do you want to hop on a call? I need help now.
Yeah.
And then you can have somebody following you for years.
Ah, Absolutely. I've been watching you for a while. I'm like, oh my God, she's been watching me since like 2016. But like, I mean, another thing as well with messages on LinkedIn Messenger, you can actually send an instant video meeting and do a video meeting as well. You can do video calls. I tend to mix it up a bit. If someone reaches out to me, I send them a little video saying, hope you're well, blah, blah, blah. And it's just that little bit of that extra personal touch, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Okay, brilliant. So LinkedIn newsletters, I have a newsletter. I bring it out every week. It's a lot of work. So you have your first batch of subscribers. What are your tips then for growing it after that? Is it just down to the content?
Yeah, I'm actually just looking at the social media takeaway. Yeah, definitely I would. Yeah, I'm looking, I better subscribe. Why did I not?
So that's
But
the same title as my podcast. So that's why
yeah,
it's called that. But
yeah.
it probably
But
could
you
be a
see,
better.
I share that. I would share my newsletter when I publish it to Twitter. I would
Okay.
say my latest newsletter is out on LinkedIn. I would share it, post it, and say, here's my latest LinkedIn newsletter. I talk about this, this, and this in it, you know. And the most popular one I did was the 3 tips on how to get more engagement on LinkedIn. And so it did so well. I've shared it again last week and I got 6 more subscribers, you know. So it's
Yeah.
about repurposing, you know, letting people know that you have the newsletter. If someone connects with me new or follows me new, they also get a notification straight away to subscribe to my newsletter.
Oh, does that happen automatically?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so if there's somebody tuning in here, like this podcast is for coaches and consultants, what are the top 3 strategies you recommend for growing your business on social media right now in 2024?
Create a LinkedIn newsletter if you have a LinkedIn account. Be yourself. Do some more videos. You know, people like to see behind the scenes and they like to hear. Like, give us a tip. You know your stuff so well. We don't realize how much we know. And sometimes the simplest tip can be the best thing, like how to set up a Facebook page. I mean, you've done that for years and years and years, but yet I think if you did a video on LinkedIn about how to set up a successful Facebook page, that might do really well because people on LinkedIn might not have a Facebook page, you know. So it's all about, like, the most popular video I did was how to pin a tweet. And so many
No,
people didn't know how to pin a tweet.
I
And I was
know.
thinking, does everybody not know that? But they don't, you
I
know.
know. You're right. Like sometimes we're such experts in our field
We
that,
forget the basics.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. So one of my clients actually, she's on one of my coaching programs at the moment, and she sent me through her ideas for a lead magnet. And I was like, oh, there's like 20 lead magnets in this, you know. So I was like, just take it down to something really, really simple. So yeah,
like
you're right.
the biggest questions you get asked. Think about that.
Mm.
So think about, that's what's great about the LinkedIn audios, by the way, because people can come up and ask questions, and I take note of the questions they ask because
Mm.
blog post or that's actually a video, you know. So for example, you were saying about the lead magnets, you know, like my one is how to get more followers on Twitter because everyone asks me that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so it's like whatever the most common questions are that you get asked, you know, that's the one to start doing your content around. And it can be chopped up into different pieces. Video, that's one of my tips anyway. Video, yes. So start using video. Check out LinkedIn audio events. If you see me doing one, just pop in and just listen and see what it's like. Yeah, the biggest tips though, really just keep showing that you are the expert, keep sharing your knowledge and helping others along the way. It's not all about us, you know. I do that a lot, as you know. I help others along the way, but I'm kind of known for it now, but it kind of comes naturally. Like today I did a post, somebody helped me out this morning and it nearly made me cry. It was such a nice, kind thing that the person did. And I said, how can I tell people this without embarrassing her? Do you know that kind of way? So what I did was I did a list of people who've shown me kindness over the years, and it's on my LinkedIn. It's a lovely post, but I did a list of people who shown me kindness over the years. Business people that maybe just listened to me when I had nothing, and you know there was nothing in it for them. You know, just things like that. And so I have a list on my LinkedIn, and I had to add a couple actually because after I was like, oh no, I must. I must stop them. But you can edit a post on LinkedIn and do that. But kindness is huge. So if you are a consultant or, you know, in business, like share someone else's post, you know, share someone else's stuff and just see what happens. You know, you'd be surprised. You could really make that person's day and get them in front of a whole new audience.
That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. So what advice would you have given your younger self?
Don't start smoking and don't be worrying so much. You're absolutely gorgeous and everything's going to be fine.
Oh, that's nice advice. Okay, so Sam, tell us. I know you have events coming up. I'm not too sure when this is going out, but where can people find you? Like you've given so much advice. Thank you so much in this episode. And if they want to connect with you to keep getting more advice or to keep finding about your workshops, where do they find you?
On LinkedIn, Samantha Kelly, Tweeting Goddess. On Twitter, Tweeting Goddess everywhere. Actually, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on TikTok, but the best way to get me is, LinkedIn or Twitter or sam@tweetinggoddess.com.
And tell me, where do you think it's all going to go? What about AI? Where do you think we're going to?
I think you'll never be able to replace the human touch and empathy and, kindness. Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to replace that with AI. So just use the tools for helping you do things, but don't use it to do things for you, if you know what I mean. So let's say I wanted to think of another way to say, actually, I don't work for free. Something like that. I'd actually go, how do I say that in a better way? So things like that, or, another better topic or a better title for something or something like that. So use the tools, yes, in that way, but don't use them just to write a full article.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. Okay. So, and you started working with Virgin Media.
Yes, I'm a brand ambassador for the Virgin Media backing business community. So it's a free community. So anyone that's listening and you want to join a free community, it's free. Check out the hashtag backing business. But if you go to Virgin Media or Google backing business Virgin Media, it's a free community. We have events every month. We've webinars. We have actually one in Croke Park on the 25th of June, and that's a social media event. So it's free once you're a member. So they've really got lots of exciting things planned and lots of opportunities as well. So definitely join the community. Like, it's free. And I'm helping guide them with what SMEs need, what topics, who are the best people that will give value. So, it's no harm being on my radar either.
Connect with Samantha. That's the thing to do. Thanks so much. I really appreciated your time and your expertise here today, and wish you every success for the future.
Thanks, Louise.
Thanks for listening to the Social Media Takeaway podcast. If you loved this episode and want deeper support with your marketing, head over to sellonsocialmedia.academy/hello.